French Polynesia. A tropical paradise in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, a magnet for tourists, attracting over 280,000 a year. Here lies the island group of Bora Bora. On the local motor mute airport lies a Beechcraft Baron.
Alright, let's not keep these guys waiting any longer.
The Beechcraft will be flown by 30-year-old Australian pilot Eddie Malcolm. Malcolm has 4,161 flight hours under his belt, most of those hours being on small propeller aircraft like the Baron. Malcolm will be flying 3 passengers to the island of Moorea, then from Moorea to Tahiti, and finally do the flight back to Bora Bora. At 1:34 in the afternoon, the Beechcraft starts up its engines.
Beechcraft Foxtrot Yankee, clear for takeoff, roger that.
The aircraft lines itself up with the runway and begins its takeoff roll. The Beechcraft takes off from Bora Bora, headed towards Moorea. Two minutes after takeoff, the Beechcraft is now climbing to its cruising altitude of 9,000 feet.
You guys good back there?
Yes.
Alright, good.
Desmond Steiner is a former pilot of the Beechcraft's operator, Polynesian Air Tours.
When I was at Polynesian Air Tours, I was a very good friend of Eddie, who was a pilot on that flight. I also piloted the Beechcraft Baron many times. It's a really good aircraft for short island hopping flights like this one. It was one of my favorite to fly, really, and I really loved flying it back when I was still a pilot in there.
Gosh, what was that?
Suddenly, Eddie hears a strange noise coming from the back of the aircraft. Then, an explosion happens, and the aircraft loses control.
Bora Bora Beechcraft Foxtrot Yankee Mayday loss of control. I can't bring it up. I can't.
Malcolm regains control of the aircraft for a brief moment, until it mysteriously banks to the left, rapidly descending. The Beechcraft crashes into the Pacific Ocean off the Bora Bora shore. The aircraft was reported missing by the Bora Bora air traffic controllers. The French Navy soon launched a rescue operation to find the Beechcraft. The wreckage was found a day later, and it is confirmed that none of the occupants have survived, including pilot Eddie Malcolm. The investigation into the crash starts in a different hemisphere from the crash site, in Paris, France. The French Bureau of Inquiry and Analysis for Civil Aviation, or BEA, is looking into the case of the Beechcraft's fatal accident. They begin by figuring out the way the plane crashed. Investigators notice how the plane was flying normally, until it suddenly dove towards the sea, which indicates something must have altered the aircraft's control surfaces, causing it to lose control. But they can't prove anything yet, as they have to first go to the crash site in Bora Bora to examine the plane's wreckage. Several pieces of wreckage are recovered from the water and sent to the BEA investigators to examine. They look for anything in the wreckage that might explain the Beechcraft's sudden loss of control. That is when they find something peculiar. When investigators look at the remains of the tail, they notice the aft baggage door is missing. The Beechcraft Baron has 2 baggage doors, one at the front and another at the back. The front baggage door was found, but the aft one is still missing. This could indicate the door came off during the flight, damaging the control surfaces along with it, which could explain the sudden dive. For weeks after the crash, a strange metal object was recovered from the water in Bora Bora. The object seemed to belong to an airplane, so it was sent to the BEA investigators for identification. the object turned out to be the Baron's missing aft cargo door. The door was found 2.5 kilometers away from the crash site, confirming the investigators' theory that the door had come off, damaging the controls of the aircraft. Now they must figure out why the door broke off mid-flight. Initial theories by the investigators include a bomb, impact with another object and a failure of the door's latch. They look at the door to see if there are any burn marks that might indicate a bomb detonated in the cargo hold. They don't see anything that might indicate possible foul play, taking the bomb theory out of the equation. Investigators also don't see any scratches or marks that might have been left by another object crashing into the door, only ones that were caused by the impact with the water. They look at the door's latch and find something shocking. The top half of the latch is broken. This is a clear sign of metal fatigue, which has been the culprit of several major accidents in the past. The BEA looks at the aircraft's maintenance records and find even more incriminating evidence. The accident aircraft, Foxtrot Charlie Foxtrot Yankee Papa, had not been serviced in more than 3 years. They also find that Polynesian Air 2's, the Baron's operator, had also failed to give regular maintenance work to most of their fleet, which was extremely dangerous given how old some of their aircraft were.
When I first heard about the situation with the maintenance of the aircraft, it was really shocking because, well, I have flown a lot of these aircraft. I have flown the accident plane a couple times, and it was really surprising knowing that I had flown a bunch of aircraft that were practically falling apart, given how long it had been since they had last been serviced.
The BEA examined the door's latch to confirm their theory, and found that the latch had several fatigue cracks. The BEA ordered Polynesian Air Tours to ground all of their 7 Barons for inspection, which led to a shocking discovery. All of the company's Baron's cargo door latches had some sort of fatigue cracking in them. The inspected Barons also had not been given proper maintenance in the last 3 to 4 years. This forced the BEA to open a much bigger investigation into Polynesian Air Tours and their fleet. The BEA released the final report on the crash on May 15, 2019, stating that the probable cause of the crash was metal fatigue on the aft cargo door's latch, leading to it breaking off mid-flight. The door was also speculated to have hit the left elevator on its way out, causing the elevator to break and put the aircraft into a dive. Polynesian Air Tours' negligence was also a big contributing factor in the accident, as they had not serviced many of their aircraft in years, leading to many of them being in a poor state by the time the Bora Bora accident happened. Polynesian Air Tours continued to operate, becoming a commercial airline and not a private operator, acquiring aircraft such as the ATR-72, Bombardier Q400 and Embraer E175, but it eventually ceased operations in late 2024. The accident is still remembered by the Bora Bora residents as a tragic event in the island's history. The BEA recommended airlines to make sure to regularly inspect their aircraft for anything that might make them unsafe or put them at risk of having serious accidents.
Of course, it was really surprising what happened. It still shocks me to this day. A really tragic event that happened on that flight. I left the airline in, I think it was 2021, and well, now things are much better. I really hope they're much better after this accident, because this accident was something really serious, and I really hope that it doesn't happen again.